Wicked. Brrr. Kev, the flow fam. Let's flow, fam.
Let's flow. Let's flow. Come on, baby.
Let's flow lab. But did you have flow lab today? Was that today?
I did. Me and Tyson did a flow lab today, man. We keep going.
Talk to us about the flow lab. How did that idea birth?
Yeah, so basically last summer, after a lot of retreats, and we did this like cross-country road trip, we started realizing how important freestyle circles were for our community and for like our mission and activating a lot of creativity. And so when I moved to Encinitas about 7 months ago, we started a series called the Flow Lab, which is like generally 3 instrumental tracks. Me and Tyson Wagner are the main MCs, but we've had a lot of guest MCs. And it's just evolved from there, man. It's like practice, like can we practice bars? And also like, can we share with our community what we're most passionate about, which happens to be music, hip hop, lyricism, and entrepreneurship.
Oh, yeah. Has Kyle got on one of those? Kyle Bent?
No. We were with Kyle in Costa Rica for Superhero Academy. He's at a mastermind with us. So we actually have a Mystic video with him. We haven't released yet, but Kyle's a homie, dude.
Nice. I would love to see JP get on a freestyle, actually.
Right? That would be wild. I'm gonna make that happen this year.
And I'm gonna have to get on one too. You know, I'm gonna have to get on one over there.
Oh, dude, we're gonna tag you in like dual screen and just throw on some fucking tracks.
Yep. Definitely get up on a flow lab, and it's so true, man. The flow, you know, it's just being in the moment and allowing it to come through, and you know, just listening and opening up to whatever. A lot of the time, I'm watching words come out of my being.
Totally.
Like it's what is fresh to me, like to the listener, it's just as fresh to me, and it's
exactly
so exciting. That's
sort of the beauty of it. The joke we have is like after like a flurry of bars or like a great sesh, it's like, whoa, I just blacked out. It's like I just watched myself create lyrics and a story, and I was like a witness. I was like in the back seat while Spirit's driving, you know.
It's actually quite cool. It's actually quite crazy how I don't know if I told you the story of how I connected with you. A friend of mine, Jamie Lee Curtis is her actual name, and she sent me a video going, hey, this guy reminds me of you. And it was a video of you talking about the awakened masculine, or the you know, the old masculine going out the window. And I watched that video, and I didn't know who you were. I had no idea who you were. I was like, I like this guy's vibe. He's speaking my language. I know, you know, it's about the enlightened and the awakened and the new masculine that's coming through. And I was like, yeah, I'm vibing with this dude. And then literally, I don't know, like maybe that day, I think it might have been that day or that night, I somehow got linked to, maybe you followed me on Instagram or something, like there was a connection. And then I was like, what? I've seen this guy before. And then the Mystic Misfits came through, and I'm like, who are these guys? And it's the dude. it's the dude. And I'm like, no, that's legit. So I reached out to you. I'm like, hey, I've seen you guys. Let's do something. So it's crazy how it works like that, huh?
I know. Spirit works in mysterious ways. Like, I've been following you on Instagram for a while, man, because like flow states and like the flow zone, to tag your brand, like has been so important to me the last 5 years. As soon as I realized that that's like the zone of genius I operate in. So I was following your content, and when you started hitting us out through Mystic Misfit, I was like, yeah, I'm down. Let's flow, fam.
Let's flow, fam. And for you, I've heard a bit about your story from Ryan, because I had Ryan on the other day. And but I'd like to hear it from you. Like, tell us a bit about your journey. I know you said it 5 years ago, the flow has become important. What were you doing before that? And yeah, just tell us a bit about yourself.
For sure, man. So although I may not look the part, I'm born and raised Texas, like straight Texas, West desert country. And yeah, I grew up in Houston, and basically through a lot of...
You don't sound like a cowboy.
I know. I've curated this accent quite well, but I can bring out the 6-shooters and play poker with the best of them. Yeah, my family is very like suburban, like Texas family. Obviously grew up in the Houston hip hop scene and went to college.
Drop some names of the Houston hip hop scene.
Oh, dude, like Paul Wall, like some Dirty South, like old school rap. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know. I really studied the West Coast and East Coast rappers, but my upbringing and my pedigree was like, you know, the H-Town hip hop. And so that was a big piece of it.
Is that anywhere near Atlanta?
Well, Atlanta's a little bit east. So Georgia, you know, Atlanta, Georgia is like east, like deep south. Houston's like on the coast in Texas. So you got like the southern vibes, southern US, where the hip hop community is strong. And then you got like West as well, like the Western entrepreneurial spirit, you know, a lot of oil country out there. But basically the long story short is I went to college to be a lawyer. I switched to psychology because I just loved it. And I also switched to philosophy. So psychology, philosophy was my aim. And through a lot of study, I got into yoga and meditation. And once I hit that, I was going to go to grad school. I was applying to PhD programs to be like a straight up clinical psychologist. Evolutionary social psychology was the laboratory I was working in. And yeah, I just kind of had an awakening. Like I realized my love for music, my love for dance, my love for like free form nomadic travel. And so I just like picked up and left after college. I moved to California and lived there for multiple years in Northern California. Got into my zone, started going to open mics, spitting spoken word poetry, got into personal development, health and wellness, you know, got into the scene. And then I backpacked Asia. So I got another call to adventure and like flew out to Thailand with my ex-girlfriend, and we together and apart explored, you know, Asia the real way, like Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Malaysia. And I went to India and Nepal. And then I ended up back in Los Angeles. So I switched to SoCal. That's where I met my brothers, Ryan and Jordan, total homies I've known for a while. We like founded, really kickstarted Mystic Misfit, our lifestyle brand. And that's when I started coaching and started really getting into hip hop, freestyle, and flow state psychology. And so it's been a wild ride. Basically, I left Texas about 5 years ago, and I've been in California and all over the world since.
Yes. And there's a bunch of things in there. So the psychology, the travel. What were you do you say you were studying in Asia?
Well, so in Asia, I studied yoga. So I actually went and got my teacher training certified in Goa in India, and really like dived into meditation, into breath work, asana. And that's also where I got my introduction to Osho. We did like Osho active meditations at our ashram. And that was just like charging me to go straight to Nepal and hike the Himalayas, start writing a lot. You know, I was doing a blog website at the time, and like very much like a spiritual seeker. And when I got back to California, it was like, oh, the health and wellness game. I got into that scene. I started like doing sales and marketing for a big company, Bulletproof. That's like a health and wellness biohacking brand.
Is that Asprey?
Oh yeah, you know him.
Yeah.
He's all about flow states and like optimal health and wellness, optimal human performance. So that was kind of the framework I was in. And then hip hop and, you know, a lot of like conscious rap, that kind of scene was influencing me, as well as, you know, mindset, personal development, and like communication, which was like what we hosted our retreats. And so that kind of like that combo really built the last 2 years where I've been, you know, quantum leaping ever since.
So the flavor that you bring, I guess the Misfits, give us an outline of what's the Mystic Misfit brand, and what is the message? I've asked Ryan, obviously, but I'm curious to know the different flavors that everybody brings.
For sure, dude. And I'll speak to that. Like Ryan has already been on here, but I think Jordan's next. Yeah. I told him today, like, yo, the Flow Lion wants you on his podcast, and it's happening. But yeah, Mystic Misfit is a great starting point where like basically mysticism, right, is these ancient practices and direct connections to the divine. And it takes a lot of different forms. You know, all the mystics of all cultures all over the world have been saying the same thing. And then being a misfit is very important as well to the brand. There's a great quote that we use on our website, Krishnamurti, and it's like, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And so that's kind of been our mantra. Like, if you're a misfit, like, celebrate it. You're not fitting in with the status quo. And then these mystical practices, whether it's, you know, body work, whether it's meditation, whether it's dancing, shamanic breathing, and radical honesty, learning how to authentically relate with a tribe. These are some of the things that we host at, our international retreats and our workshops, is really teaching these practices, grounding them in with a tribe through gratitude, through Communitas. And that's kind of the vision for Mystic Misfit. We have a lot of events coming up in May, actually. We're doing a tour through California. We have our first produced festival that we're co-hosting with the big brands here in North County, San Diego. That's coming up.
Give us a shout out for the brand.
Yeah, we got a Dharmafy, which is a dope vegan food delivery service. They're all about Osho and his philosophy. We got Lineage and Garden of Eden, which is the premier scene for fire dancing, dance parties, very dropped in community. And then we got Music House Collective. So the Music House is run by our boy Angus Wilson, and he's producing all the top artists here in North County, San Diego. So we're teaming up with.
You got the nutrition, you got the movement, you got the fuego, you've got the music and the sound. You got a lot of good vibes in there.
Yeah. It's kind of the power pillars of the community, and it's happened so organically. So yeah, Desert Rising is our festival. We're looking at 300 to 400 people out in the San Diego desert. May 4th to 6th is when that's going down. So
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exciting. This will be the inaugural, will it?
Yeah, this is the first community, local festival. We only have local artists and DJs performing. We have local speakers, and it's really a call to all the tribes in, this area. There's a big conscious community here in Encinitas. So a fun fact about Encinitas actually is Paramahamsa Yogananda, if you know the teacher, he actually settled here in the 1920s and built his first ashram, the Self-Realization Center.
There you go.
And Swami's Beach is also a surf mecca. So this place is a flow state hub.
So the seeds have been planted since a long time ago in the area. I love how those seeds then sprout the new growth, and that creates the canopy that allows everything else to be what's the word I'm looking for? It is to be fertilized, by the seeds that flow down into those next layers, and for us. So yoga is on your radar from Houston, Texas, and then it's actually these, it's that butterfly flaps its wings somewhere in who knows where on the other side of the world and creates the storm or the cyclone on the other side of the planet, right?
Totally. I found that yoga, mindfulness, I know that you're a Qigong teacher. Before yoga, I actually was in Qigong Tai Chi. I was training up in North California. And yeah, wherever you find these flow and movement body practices, you also, I've found, tend to find lyricists, coaches, flow artists of all kinds. So it's very much a nexus. So we're excited about syncing that up.
So how far is Encinitas from the San Diego desert? What's the travel?
So Encinitas is maybe 20, 30 minutes north of the city, San Diego. And we're hosting out in the Desert View Tower. It's actually near the Mexico border. And from Encinitas is about an hour and a half, from San Diego, maybe 40 minutes.
Quite close.
Oh yeah.
Quite close. And in terms of the artists, you said it's only local artists, so that's from San Diego area, and region. So is that speakers? Is it people running? Are you guys doing a Mystic Misfit type thing there? And what kind of percentage in terms of there's 400 people? How many people are running something there?
Totally. So the 4 brands that are co-producing all have villages. So we're kind of have a main stage and then the villages for the camps. And we're bringing in the top local artists. A big one is Kiyoshi. So Kiyoshi is this dope hip hop artist from the area. We're bringing in Paul Edge, who's a legendary DJ in the area. And we're doing a mix of acoustic, campfire guitar sets, and then epic hip hop sets mixed with the electronic, house, trap music.
Yes. And
yeah, Mystic Misfit will be hosting a Mystic Dance Temple, which is our facilitated, bioenergetics, very much breath work, embodiment focused workshop where a DJ plays a live set and we get on the mic and facilitate the crowd dancing their faces off.
Face meltingly dope, it sounds like. So in terms of that, is it you've got, in terms of Yeah, is there like food stalls there? Is it bring your own stuff? Like, is it, yeah, what's the vibe?
It's very much like kind of the Burning Man ethos, which
Mm,
is like leave no trace. So
mm,
you want to bring in everything. It's camping. Everyone's going to bring their own food and water. And also we have vendors. We have like some dope, like organic conscious food and apparel and merch that's going to be partnering with us. So there'll be like a vendors village, full blown festival. Like you just come and camp in the desert and then your community provides everything.
beautiful. And in that, the intention, what's the intention for running this? Is it to connect people? Is it because personally, I'm big. I've been involved in running a lot of these festivals for a long time, and I find that the ones that bring me the most joy are the really intentional ones, and the ones that
For sure.
that affect me in a way that empower me and lift me up and just give me a lot of juice. It's the ones that I feel like there's a common cause or there's an actual strong intent. I feel when I walk in, I'm like, oh, I can feel the intent of this festival is like really present. It's not like about getting messed up off your face. It's about actually connecting with one another, or that whatever it is, that there is something. There is something there that gels everyone together and gives everyone a common cause, even if they came not knowing why what it was, but they come and they're like, ooh, there's presence here, there's intent here. So in terms of that, what is it for you guys?
Totally. And I totally agree with that sentiment, like wanting intentionality and presence. And so this is very like intimate local community. So it's people from the local area. You know, the whole set list and the flow of the programming is like keeping everyone together. So like main stage, campfire, opening, like connecting with the land, calling in the ancestors, the directions, and then going into these like musical facilitated experiences, conscious speakers, and general workshops designed to very intentionally connect the community and be like, hey, we have a lot going on here in San Diego. You don't need to look elsewhere. And so the whole setup and the art, the live art, the shrines, the DJ sets are all designed to create this experience.
Beautiful. And so it's like getting the people who are from the area more interconnected and more like building a stronger bond between everyone who's already there, who might not know each other, who kind of, I've seen you around, but I don't know who you are, and bringing them together to create those stronger connections. Is that, am I on the right path there?
You're on the path there, brother. It's very much like, if you don't know the community, come meet it. If you're already in the community, it's time to like link up and let's raise the bar, let's like get activated and create together and build.
Awesome.
And so the circle is like what we're calling it. So the 4 brands that are uniting, we're the circle, and we're trying to embody the leadership to like facilitate this community container. And I found in all the best places I've been, Santa Cruz, California, Chiang Mai, Thailand, Goa, India, even Austin, Texas, the best part about the community was very conscious, empowered leaders like setting up shop and committing to linking everybody up.
So you're building that out there. You're like, ooh, I like that. I'm going to bring that flavor over here. That's awesome.
Exactly.
And that's awesome that it's got that intent, because as you know, intent is everything. Intent is what we intend will come about. So for you, like, I'm just thinking in terms of coming over, I'm like, I want to be involved in that. I want to run something over there, but I'm
Dude, let's flow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I imagine, are you guys building already and stuff? You guys setting up out there already, or?
Well, no, we'll show up the week before and like build the camps and all the stages. And yeah, that's going to be like kind of our first experiment. So we plan on like, facilitating workshops, having more events like this. This is just the inaugural circle experience. And like, yeah, man, if you're out in California, San Diego, like you got to come through, dude.
Well, it's only a couple. I'm going to be in the Australian desert in a couple of weeks. So you said it's the 4th, right? On the 4th to the 6th. Is that when you said it was?
May 4th, yeah. 4th to 6th.
I'll literally be in the Australian desert doing the same thing that we've been doing for the past 10 years at a wide open space, which hopefully we can get you out to at some point.
I got a lot of brothers and sisters calling me to Australia. Perfect. Like Bondi, like, Melbourne, Byron Bay. Like there's a lot of like people we've met at retreats who are from there and are just like, dude, you got to get out here. So I think it's on my radar.
I think Ryan was talking about our brother Giro.
Yeah, We were with, you know, Jiro, like Jiro, Flow State Collective, shout out. You know, we were with him in Costa Rica for this mastermind. So
Yes.
Jiro's a straight homie. We did an interview with him. Like,
Such a boss.
yeah.
Talk to us. We mentioned earlier about the masculine that's coming through. Is that something that has been, just give me one sec. Yeah. So is that something that has been, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? It is has made an impact in your life, and like, is that something that's important to you, that masculine, and bringing, like, getting rid of the old type masculine, or just like integrating it into the new? Like, talk to us a little bit about your journey on that, and I guess for your own life, have you had strong masculine figures in your life, or have you chosen them? Or tell us a bit about your story on that, because I know for me it's been a process of hand selecting my mentors and my masculine figures, because I didn't really have that strong masculine in my life, so I had to
Totally
pick and choose, and I still am to this day. So yeah, I'm curious about what your journey has been around that, and the fact that that's connected to us. I felt it's, it wants to come through right now.
Yeah, man, it's been a big theme and practice for me, especially in the last year. Basically, I think the collective is feeling it too. To speak to that quickly, like the whole Donald Trump in America and like the Me Too movement is drawing a lot of light onto our collective shadow and showing, what's been off and where we can heal and integrate. And so, something you said, like I grew up in Texas and I didn't have really strong masculine role models. I had my coaches in sports, played football and soccer. I was an Eagle Scout, so I did Boy Scouts. Like there was mentors there, but nothing that really like called to me and hit me in the soul. And so it wasn't until college and some professors that really helped guide me. And then later, just like coaches, guides, sacred mentors in masculinity, like true masculinity.
So you hand selected these, or you just went
exactly
and then were like, oh, I like what this guy's talking about. It resonates. There's something here, and you follow that path, or?
Definitely, like you're saying, like it was very much in flow at first, where like I didn't know where to look for. And I didn't know where to look. So I became very interested in, yoga. I became interested in nonviolent communication, relating, and eventually Tantra, and realizing that the masculine and feminine are just like the two poles, sun and moon, king, queen, earth and sky. These like two poles manifest in everything. And I think a lot of retreats, I just like went on a lot of experiential journeys and was involved in these scenes where I saw that, wow, there really isn't a bridge being consciously built between the masculine and feminine forces. And the more I witnessed that, and the more I gained these mentors, and like you said, hand selected them myself. Like Elliot Holst has been a huge one. Like fucking Elliot, my boy, we were training with him in Florida last week. Yeah, Elliot, exactly. He's been probably the biggest one. And then besides that, like Brandon Hawk, who's an epic coach here in San Diego, and our boy JP Sears. So JP, ultra spiritual. He actually is a great embodiment, kind of an older brother for me. And he's been a part of our path at these retreats and in a lot of our content. So I had to hand select these people and realize that, wow, as a man, I was seeking a rite of passage and an initiation. And this is something I really got into studying Carl Jung and his work, and studying Robert Moore, who wrote King, Warrior, Lover, Magician, and identified the masculine archetypes and the pathway or evolution of the mature masculine and how it manifests. And so that's been my main focus recently, culminating with that video that I did in January. So.
And in terms of that, what are the key takeaways that you've taken? I know that you've journeyed a lot with this stuff. I guess what are the key takeaways that you maybe didn't have before, like the pieces that were missing, and then what puzzle pieces have you found that go, okay, that clicks there, and this is what it looks like and feels like?
For sure. I mean, I think my first masculine mentors were like in sports. It was very like physical. So Texas, football, American football is a religion, not soccer. Although I did play soccer. I love football as well, the beautiful game. And those coaches kind of became my like father figures in a sense, or like mentors. But it was very much like machismo. It's like be tough, be strong, don't feel, don't cry because that makes you weak. And that never resonated with me. It never did. Even as a boy, I was very sensitive. I was like an empath, still am. And so that was a big block for me until I found men that were both hustling, crushing the game in business, had fucking queens, you know, were leaders, but also would feel and fully express emotion. And so once I saw that path, I went all in, and I've really found that like the key to the true masculine expression, not the masculine that's handed down to us by culture, or the masculine that our fathers maybe, you know, followed, you know, love you dad so much, but you know, the blueprint wasn't really resonant. And so the true masculine, or the sacred masculine, is all about fully feeling and being sensitive and compassionate while still having that warrior and king that be it.
We lost you on warrior and king. For listening from there.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, word. Yeah, I found that like the men who could both feel and have full emotional embodiment and still have that warrior king energy, you know, being strong, being a leader, being committed and disciplined, that was very much like an awakening for me, because this was my new blueprint where I was like, oh, you know, I wasn't wrong to be so emotional. Like I have a lot of feelings inside of me, and I'm still like in the warriors, in the hunter circle. And like there's a beautiful harmony there.
Yeah, I'm imagining the, you know, going out and catching some food, for instance, and spearing the deer or whatever it is that you're eating, and then having a moment where you're crying tears for the life that you've just taken, and also the joy that you get to feed your tribe and you get to eat. You know, it's like this. It's like it's okay to you don't have to be hard and not feel the emotion that comes with you know, taking a life or whatever it might be. You know, and it is frowned upon a lot of the time. People be tough, toughen up. You know, it's like, or we get taken on a hunting trip to be more manly, or you know, it's like, well, actually, it can be traumatizing if you're not into that kind of thing. You know.
Totally. And I haven't been hunting, like full blown hunting, but I did a lot of like deep sea fishing and, you know, catching these huge snappers and these big fish. You know, I could feel their life force. They were alive. And then we killed them and ate their meat. And, you know, as a boy, 17, 18, even as a young man, that was very intense for me, because I felt like I was picking up on their pain. And then, like you're saying, the joy of sharing that kill, sharing that meat with the tribe was really important, and like connecting to the life cycle that I know all our ancestors were part of.
100%. And it's, I guess, what is it like over there in terms of, the growing up? I don't know, was Atlanta, was it like being a teenager, and I guess the rights of
Houston?
Yeah, so like in Houston, what was that? What's the consensus even back then and also to this day? Is it changed much? Is there a common theme that people have kind of rites of passage? Is it getting your license? Is it, you know, graduating from school? Like what are some of the things?
Totally. This is something big. I've been studying the work of Robert Moore. I've been reading The Archetype of Initiation. And it's all about how, especially young men, but also young women, there's a very important transition from being a boy to a man and taking your place in the tribe. And so being raised in Texas, you know, the initiations are pretty standard. It was like, all right, yeah, get your license, get your car, play sports.
It was Houston, sorry.
Yeah. And like, it's like graduation, you know, getting your degree, maybe getting married or losing your virginity. These were like the main rites of passage. And every one I hit, you know, I was a good boy, and I was wanting to like be the ace. So I tried really hard. And everyone I hit, you know, it wasn't fulfilling. I couldn't feel the transition. I didn't feel like the full embodiment of what it meant to be a man. And I believe it's because, as Moore talks about in his work, if you look around at older men, I saw this in my father, and I saw this in other leaders, they had failed initiations. They were not initiated into manhood either. So they were doing the best they could, but they were missing these crucial elements. You know, the ordeal, the vision quest, the hunt, the solo the solo night in the wilderness. This is how Native Americans, the American Indians, would initiate their youth, especially men. And this was missing in my upbringing, and I think still is in a lot of America. And a lot of scholars and people who study this are realizing how we're missing this important piece of individuation and becoming an adult.
And is this something that that can be and is being manufactured? Like, you can create your own initiations, and is this something that is this like, the dance journeys that you're taking people on, or the retreats that you're doing, or is this something that people can actually implement into their own lives if they just have these pieces of the puzzle, which are like, all right, if it contains these core aspects, then it is an initiation, or it will be a rite of passage, or are there particular pieces that you can create your own, or you can put yourself in a situation where you can actually go through the core pieces of the process?
So this is a great question, actually, because I initially, when I set out on this quest, I was like, can I initiate myself? Can I initiate myself? And I tried. It involved plant medicine. It involved solitude in nature. And it involved, a lot of physical ordeals, fasting, being alone, like things like this. And what I found is, like, while I had profound experiences, I didn't feel fully initiated. And so the more you study this, if you study especially in anthropology, cultural anthropology, sociobiology, no tribe does it alone. What they have are what's called ritual elders, which are the older males and the initiated medicine men, chieftains, and hunters in a tribe, especially for men, who facilitate this experience for the youth. So it's very important that it's actually facilitated and you're held in a container for it to be effective and long lasting.
So is this a process of being told what to do, or like, as in, like, if you do this, then you will become this, or like, is it a process of holding the space, going, there's a space here, who knows what's going to happen, just we'll be here to hold you if something does fuck out? So like, what does that look like?
I think it tends to fall more into the latter, like option B, like you said. There's not so much dogma. This is what's interesting in a lot of the indigenous people and their cultures and initiations. It's not like today where, like, politics and religion are like, this is how you should be, this is what you should do. It wasn't like that. It was more like, if you're going to join in our community, in our tribe, you need to manifest your powers and gifts at the highest level. And so we're going to provide a container for you to go through a very difficult process, usually physically and mentally a difficult process, to actualize these gifts and learn the proper way to share them with the community. And so you need usually someone who's been initiated. That's why the lineages and the traditions are so long lasting, thousands of years, because you need someone who's been initiated to hold space for you to be initiated.
You got to have that direct transmission, similar to the martial arts, or similar to even with things like music. If someone had developed themselves to mastery level, then they can actually they're walking the talk. Then they can actually, when they talk to you, just being around them as well, you'll get the transmission. So I guess if you're not able to embody whatever it is that you're looking to pass on, then you're gonna get a diluted version of. And I guess that's what you're talking about in terms of, you didn't feel the fulfillment when you did have your initiations, because it was coming through a filtered, watered down version of this initiation, right?
Exactly. And this is a big distinction between ritual and ceremony. So a proper initiation is actually a ritual. And a ritual is designed to deconstruct and reconstruct your identity, essentially, your personality, your ego structure. And so a ceremony is different. A ceremony is actually designed to maintain the status quo, which is very different, right? Like, we have a lot of ceremonies in society, sports, graduation,
Marriage.
Marriage is a big one. These are a ceremony that reinforces what has been done always. Whereas a ritual is almost outside of culture. It's a radical container where you're allowed to pressurize and build heat and kind of cook and come out in a new way. And these are very important, especially for youth. I think a lot of the, just to speak to the collective again, and my experience of it, the violence, the war, you know, the depression, suicide, addiction, even the sexual abuse we see in the world, a lot of it stems from failed initiations or people that didn't have this experience. And so they're recreating the trauma of not being invited to a new level of development.
And is that something that a model that you take, again, bringing it back to the work that you guys are doing? Is this the model that you bring into your retreats, into your experiences, your dance experiences, and so on and so forth? Is it like a condensed mini version of these rituals?
Totally. We're definitely influenced by it. So a lot of the work we've done with Elliot has been influential. Elliot Holt's a big, like, you know, strong man. He's into lifting and health and wellness. But more recently, he's been getting into, and what we've trained with him is bioenergetics and Osho meditations. So very active meditations, very like embodied, very intense breath work, like very intense breath work combined with silent sitting and catharsis through the body. And so we follow kind of the hero's journey structure, which is like the 3-part structure of transformation, which is like you receive the call. So something is wrong in your life, something's off. You get a call to adventure. It's time to go. And then you answer that call. You go to Act 2, which is the belly of the beast, the battle with the dragon. You know, you do the work, and it's very intense, and you're not the same after. And then Act 3 is the return. So you return to your normal community, the ordinary world, with these insights and these treasures. And so we structure all of our retreats in this way. So each day reflects that kind of initiatory process, as well as our like 1-day events and just like short-term events. You know, we take people through this arc of energy, and definitely are being influenced by this kind of primordial structure that exists already in the human psyche.
I think it's Campbell talks a lot about this, doesn't he? About the hero's journey.
Joseph Campbell, rest in power. He's a sage. He was a direct student of Jung, and he synergizes a lot of like the world culture and all the tribal traditions that are so effective. Like, they were very effective at what they're doing. These are primitive people, you know, prehistorical, but they were very sophisticated with their ritual. And this is something we've maybe forgot in the internet age.
Well, it's something that is actually often, I'm thinking about these things, like how primitive a lot of just normal things, like for instance, the fact that we have to, I don't know, like charge our phones or like,
yeah, that's right.
I think it's so primitive that we have to even communicate a lot of the time. It's like, well, I've been out in indigenous communities out here in Australia, like in community, and hanging out with kids anywhere from 5 years old all the way up to 85-year-olds. And I was hanging with a bunch of kids. We were driving along in a car, in a troop carrier, troopy, Land Cruiser, Toyota Land Cruiser, full of kids. And we're driving to a site where we're about to tell stories, because what we were doing, we were creating songs, creating artwork of their stories. So of the traditional stories, so to keep them alive, keep the language alive. And we were recording video and creating music videos and like hip hop songs and doing dance and artwork and creating them all in there, and poetry. So this is their stories being sung by them, told by them, and we're just facilitating the space for it so that we record it so that the language can live on. And we're driving out to a site where we're going to meet an elder, and he's telling the story so that then the kids can then, know it and pass it on. And I'm sitting in the car, and one of the kids points out the window. This kid must be 7, 8 years old. He points out, he's like, look, there's this gum. I'm like, what are you looking at? He's like, there's this sweet gum on the tree. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, where are you pointing, first and foremost? We're driving at like 60 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that's, 40 miles an hour or whatever. And he's all I can see is trees like blurring past. And he's pointing at the top of it, like it's a hill. And he's pointing at the top of the hill, like, stop the car. I'm like, he's like, all right. And they're all freaking out. All the kids, as soon as he said it, the kids are like, yeah, there's the gum. It's this sweet. And we're like, all right, we'll stop the car. And like, he's like, look, sir, look, there's this gum up the top of the tree. I have no idea what he's pointing at first and foremost. He's like, I'm like, what, that tree? Like, no, look, at the top of the hill. I'm like, I can't even see where you're pointing. All right, let's just go there. And we walk 20 minutes, 20 minutes uphill, climbs a tree, picks this sweet gum. It's like a sap from a tree that's really sweet and delicious. And they start eating it. They start going bananas. It's like candy. And he's dishing it out to all these kids. This little kid that climbs up a tree like a, it's just like he's done it thousands of times. I'm like, this kid's at the top of the tree within 10 seconds. I think I'm a climber. It would have taken me a minute, and he's throwing down his stuff. And I'm like, dude, how primitive. I'm like, I got good eyesight. I can see in the far, in the distance, but this kid could just see. And I think it's, like you said, the internet age and a lot of not having to use our senses. It's a simple thing like that. I think I feel so primitive a lot of the time using these technologies, or, the fact, like I said earlier, like we have to charge our phones. Like, are we not? I know.
It's like, why?
It just seems so primitive. I guess for you, what's the most exciting thing going forward? This is a question I like to ask people a lot of the time, like your vision for the next generations, going forth. If you were to have an influence, if you were able to have the influence that you would really love to have on the world, and that to be at the highest level that it could be with you and your networks, and you're doing these events and the ripples can start going out in the most ideal, precise way. I know everything happens how it should and how it must, but if it was like that highest vision for you, what do you see for life in the coming generations? And what's the most exciting kind of vision that you have in store?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. For me, it's the synergy. So the synergy of what we've been talking about, the primeval, tribal ways of living, combined with the godlike technology that we have. We're across the world right now, but we have audio visual. The internet is beautiful. All of the toys.
It blows
insane.
Me out. In fact, my telephone, this phone is the reason that I'm connected. I'm on my computer now. I'm talking to you through the computer. So I'm like, this is plugged into the computer, but this is connected to the internet through my phone, which is, it blows me out. I'm just like, it's so godlike. I'm like, what?
It's wild. We're doing telepathy right now, and I would envision for future generations, my children, their children, their children, like the divine alchemical marriage of the two. So living on the land, eating the freshest, most nutritious, sustainable, and regenerative food, and living in a tribal way, but having access to the godlike technology, live streaming, in HD, their ideas, their thoughts, their feelings, and spreading that worldwide while living in a tribal, harmonious way with the earth. I think that is what's coming for human beings. It's like pulling from both sides and finding the middle, the center point where man, we could create heaven on earth.
Are you fan, or do you get into futurism or science fiction at all? Or?
For sure. I'm a huge science fiction nerd. Ray Kurzweil, Elon Musk, a lot of these cats that are talking about, artificial intelligence and defeating cellular senescence. That's a great word.
Talk to us about that.
Immortality. So senescence is the auto program in cells to die after a certain number of time. So this is an idea that's floating around in the futurism community, is that death is a disease. The human body is actually designed to regenerate almost endlessly. It's just environmental toxins, stress, the way we're living, oxidation. There's all these things that kind of limit our lifespan. And so a lot of people are spending a lot of money and research hours figuring out, the key to this. And I think there's some powerful stuff there. I don't know if I want to live forever in this body. I'd love to add 100 years to my lifespan, so I can be there to see my great-great-grandchildren and transmit, the wisdom I've accrued in my lifetime. But I don't know about full-blown immortality. People are talking about being cryogenically frozen and uploaded into computers and stuff like this. And I'm not sold on that. I really like being in a primate, superhuman, optimized body. I don't know if I want to be an android or a computer.
Yeah, I'm a like, this is going into realms of like, there's so much that is coming through as we're talking now. I'm talking about like the conspiracy stuff in terms of people are like worried about when like our device is listening to us, like being sold. Like for instance, I'll talk about Burger King, and then all of a sudden I'll get ads for Burger King.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that. Me personally, I'm a fan of anything that makes my life easier in that way. If
Right.
we have some device on me that can track my levels of vitamin C and vitamin D and vitamin E and my different, what I need, and then that connects to my fridge, which connects to my ordering service, which gets food into my fridge that I actually need. You know, oh, you need more strawberries. Oh, you actually need more meat, or actually you need more spinach, or, you know, whatever it is. And that orders it for me. I'm the first to sign up for that. I'm like, give me the things that makes my life easier. And I'm not worried about, oh, they're listening to my stuff. Oh, like, I think there's the age of transparency right now. If we're scared about something or worried about what people are listening, then that probably is saying more about your own transparency than about what they're doing, it's them, you know, this idea of they. I prefer we. It's like, oh, so rather than they're working on this technology that whatever, I'm like, we're working on this technology. You know, it's us. It's an inclusive kind of mind outlook that I have.
I love that. It's very much like a collective evolution. To quote the brand, you know, it's all about like, we're in this together. You know, the idea that a part of us, you know, they or whatever is like doing all this stuff. It's like, yeah, they may be, they may not. I don't actually care. Like you're saying, I'm all about creating the most efficient, effective, holistic lifestyle. And if that means partnering with technology, if that means partnering with indigenous elders and their traditions, I'm down for both.
Yeah, right.
Let's do it. Let's do it the we style.
The concept and idea of living for 400 years, and I feel that we're heading there. I feel that it's very close to our technology, both modern and also archaic technology. That I think that they are merging together, whether we like it or not. And no matter who wants to stop it from happening, I feel it's happening whether we like it or not. And going into reclaiming this ancient technology, this primitive quote unquote technology that is, for instance, the yogas, the qigongs, the healing, the shamanism, the ritual, and pairing that with the neuroscience, with the artificial intelligence, all of this stuff, I think it will create the ability to live to 300-400 years. And I feel that when that happens, then a lot of the ways that we operate, for instance, you know, get voted in for a term, 4 years, or, you know, I feel that us kind of these voting systems and things will change to like, all right, 40 years, or, you know, when people can actually see and feel the repercussions of the consequences of the decisions that we make. And for instance, I might think twice about throwing litter on the ground, which I do anyway, but if it's like, or putting, you know, using electricity that creates fossil fuels, because I'm going to have to deal with the consequences in 40, 50, 60, 80,
exactly
20 years, you know. So there's going to be a total shift in thinking if we, you know, when we are creating this longer lifespan.
Totally. There's a great quote by E.O. Wilson, the great ethnobotanist, ethnobiologist. He's like, we have, you know, medieval emotions. We have like a space age mindset, and we have godlike technology. And so, you know, there's this race kind of going on, but also a synergy, a flow between the level of our technology, the lifespans, the biomedical tech, the telecommunication technology, and our awareness, our consciousness. Can we feel the ripples of our actions? Like you're saying, if you knew that by littering or choosing this food or this lifestyle, you were affecting your children and thereby their children, and it goes out, you know, 400 years, you wouldn't make the same decisions because you'd actually be there for the aftermath.
You have to deal with it. You have to clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
That can be like both ways. It's like it can be a positive thing. It's like we get to be there for to clean up the aftermath. If the aftermath is a positive thought, a positive word, a positive action, then we get to be there for the aftermath of that, which is like that ripple and spiral, which we were talking about earlier with Rick, who I was speaking to, and him working with his people. And then when I'm sure that you have this as well, or I imagine you would, is when you run an event or you have a coaching call or you have a client, and then you're imparting some form of your experience, and then it helps them in a way that unlocks something for them, or it just helps them to step into that fullness and uplifts them. And then you see them and you're like, oh my God, you've changed, or you've created something that has created some positive impact in other people's lives, and you get to deal with the aftermath of that at the same time, right? As the same, if you said a negative thing, or you did somebody wrong, or you were out of integrity in the past, you still have to deal with that repercussion of that, right?
Totally. I think positive aftermath is a great phrase. Like, we want positive aftermath. Like, the decisions I made rippled out and created abundance and gratitude and community for like 50 years. Yes. So you want it, like, that's like, it's kind of like planting a garden. You get to reap the fruits and see the beauty you've created. And if every human being had a mindset like this, you know, what kind of universe would we inhabit?
Yes. Yeah. So what would the world be like? And encouraging that, what have you found to work in terms of encouraging more of that ripple effect? Is it just that concept of being the change, or?
It's definitely embodying it. So Elliot's all about this. You know, you ask him a question like, oh, how do I set up this business, or how do I share this technique? He's like, be it. You're asking the wrong questions. Be it first. And I think that's really internalized for me. It's like, I have to be the thing I'm trying to create it. So that's like number one. And really it's, you know, paying it forward. So instead of living transactionally or trying to get something every time I give, it's just giving. There's no shortage of energy. You know, the sun burns all day long, all night long. We just don't feel it at night. Like, it's a law of the universe. And you see this in nature, especially in the rainforest. It's very apparent. Life is hyper abundant. There's tons of life force and energy. It's really just the structures it gets placed into. So with that mindset, you don't really hold back, and you create that abundance. You create that paying it forward mindset, which then affects the future generations in a very positive way.
What do you speak to? Can you speak to on things like the anxieties or the depressions or like the dis-ease that people feeling, and like even the self-doubt or the negative self-talk, a lot of this stuff that is real. It's a reality for a lot of people, and either getting out of it or just like transforming it. Like, yeah, what's your sort of take on it? Have you experienced it yourself? Have you seen it in your communities? And have you seen a transformation take place? And if so, like, how specifically have you seen people go about that? Because I know a lot of people struggle with it, and a lot of people listening to this listen because they might be feeling some of this stuff, and they don't know how to get out of it, or some things have worked and some things haven't. So I'm curious to know your experience with it, and what you have to share on that.
Totally. Having been there myself, you know, I definitely entered some kind of depression before leaving Texas for California, and like a very much like inner darkness of not knowing what my purpose was and what I wanted to do with my life, because I thought it was academia. And so the first step is like realizing it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you if you're anxious, depressed, or you feel lost. It's actually very natural. This is the state of chaos that precedes the call to adventure in the hero's journey. And so congratulations if you're feeling that way, because big change is coming. That's like the first thing. It's like, and Terrence McKenna has a great quote on this. It's like, the world is changing so fast. There's so much happening. The real key is lowering your anxiety to the point where you can participate. Like, you can participate in the change and the beautiful, you know, magic happening. and not just getting caught up in your own mind, you know, getting caught up in your own head. And so this is like the big step for me. The other one is like realizing through a lot of practice and also a lot of like training, you know, that the opposite of depression is expression. So this is all about speaking your truth and having a tribe and allies and being in a safe space. Like if you're feeling very like inward and retracted, the antidote isn't to like try to figure it out from that space. It's actually just to express outward and find the people that are going to support you, listen, heal you. And, you know, they can't heal you. You're actually going to heal yourself, but their mirrors can help.
So this is moving, this is writing, this is talking, this is singing, this is painting.
Yes.
This type of stuff, right? Speaking.
All of the above.
Talking to someone, talking out loud, even if it's to yourself.
Yes. So it's just some form of expression. And if you really tune in and you're in your heart, you're in your soul, you'll know what's calling. For me, it was a lot of like music and movement. For other people, it could be writing, it could be journaling, it could be dance. And so aligning with that in every moment is going to keep you from getting stuck in the whirlwind of like depression, low energy that you need to transform your life.
I think there's something to be said around sharing with other people. Like, for instance, if I'm feeling down and I just call somebody, anybody, and I don't like in a lot of these times I don't feel like talking to anyone. But if I force myself to reach out and either just tell people how much I love them or how much I hope they're having a great time, and just give them, without looking for anything in return, just give them praise, give them, hey, I've been seeing you, I see you, or hope you're having a great day, or just wanted to send you some love. If I do that like 20 times, with it by the 10th time, I'm feeling a bit better, at least, you know. And there's something, I can't remember where I heard it or somebody suggested it, that if you are feeling down, maybe just call somebody and say, hey, how you doing? And just ask them how they're doing. And you don't even have to necessarily share how you're doing. If they just share with you how they're doing, a lot of the time you providing the space of listening and having someone else feel heard, immediately you can feel like you feel useful, or you feel a bit better about yourself, just because you're like, okay, cool, you're providing a space for someone else to be, you know, to vent to you or whatever's going on for them. And people will go, oh, I'm good. You go, no, how you really doing? Like, tell me what's going, you know, how
yeah. Totally.
That's something that has worked for me in the past as well.
That's a big one, man. The secret to living is giving. T. Robs.
Living is giving, and giving. Life is just for living. In fact, it's getting something. Every time you consider give back, you'll get some loving for nothing. Isn't it funny how we're coming together, sharing love? Nothing is better. Instead of looking to get, look to give back. I give thanks to all of my people who get that. It's sad not many of us can sit back, get lost in the present like we're hidden in gift wrap. If that's possible, I got to find a way. You got to get up in the moment like I want another way to be forgiven in a minute. Never want it to diminish anything negative. Everyone is replenished. And then I get up in that vibe and I kick back, take a quick break, Kit Kat, spit raps with Kev.
Yes. Oh, come on. Yes.
Make me want to put a beat on in a second.
I know, dude. That's going to have to be another video. Let's do it.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So, no, it is giving. But in saying that, there is value also in going, hey, I'm feeling terrible. I just need someone to cheer me up. You know, like, and look to actually ask for what you need as well. If you are feeling bad, and just not necessarily go, look, I've got nothing to give. I've got nothing to give. I get to those points and be like, hey, look, I'm feeling terrible. Not being afraid to do that, because that's one thing I talk about in the Patience song that I made for my brother, is if you had have shared, you know, if you can share where you're at, there's no shame in not being okay. You know, just like, hey, I'm not okay. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling bad. I don't know what I'm feeling. I just feel shit. So that's okay too. You don't have to be like, oh, I've got my shit together. I can be there for you. You know, maybe you can't, and that's okay.
That's huge, man. It's like self-forgiveness and self-compassion are the way out of those spaces.
Mm.
Like, not only is it not uncommon, it's very common, it's part of the journey. So like, if you can give yourself the love you need from the outside in those moments, man, you're going to level up so much. And like, this is what I tell my clients. This is what I've experienced in my like valleys in life, is tapping into that deep sense of like self-love. Is what it boils down to.
And what can that look like? I guess, is that similar across the board? Is it like, a lot of the times things might be cheesy, or a lot of people will stop themselves from doing something because they feel either they'll be judged, or they'll look like an idiot, or feel like an idiot, or that's not cool, or like all of these kind of stories that we tell ourselves. So in terms of like self-love for you or your clients, like what does that kind of look like?
It can be very physical. It doesn't have to be like very like ethereal, you know. It can look like self-care, good food, good friends, self-massage, you know, taking time out of your daily routine, because often that's what's creating a lot of the stress and resistance. So you may be overdue to go to Bali, or, you know, go to Ireland, go to Croatia, and like really do like the full detox, self-care, self-love routine, which often involves, you know, some form of movement, like rekindling that. It can often involve romance, it involves diet, it involves mindset and creativity. And so give yourself what you need. And the only way you're going to know that is if you ask. And so that's what I always tell people. It's like the best advice I ever received was get quiet and then ask. Like, if you can get quiet, for me, the holy place is nature, and just ask for what you want, what you need, you'll always get your answer if you're listening. And so that, I think, is like the number one for anyone in a place like that.
What do I need? What do I need right now?
Yes.
In terms of, I need some drink. I'm gonna get some drink on. In terms of going forward, I guess you got this event. Tell me the name. Is it The Circle? Is that what the event's called?
The event's Desert Rising. So it's produced by The Circle. That's May 4th to 6th outside San Diego. So that's going to be like a dope 300-person festival, very intimate vibes. And then Mystic Misfit is hosting 2 other events as part of our tour. We're doing a bungee jump retreat in northern Los Angeles. And that'll be the weekend of May 19th, which is going to be lit. That's a flow state right there, free fall. Wow. And then we're hosting our first like big mastermind retreat in Santa Cruz, and that'll be the weekend of May 28th.
Big May, mindful in May.
Mindful in May. We're calling it Misfit Mayhem. So it's just like, it's a ton of personal development, tribe building, and radical honesty packed through these events. And yeah, that'll culminate at the end of May, and then right after that, we ship off for Europe. We're going to Berlin to our teacher's studio all summer to train 21 days of Osho meditations.
Yes. And this is something you're going to be doing every May, or are you going to tour this, you know, these Misfit Mayhem type stuff in other months, or?
This is like the right now flow state. There isn't plans of repeating it, although we have, you know, this will be our 3rd annual bungee retreat, and we've hosted things similar to masterminds, but this will be the first official. Exciting. And this will be the first like festival that we're straight up producing, although we've been MCs and like facilitators at other events. Most recently in Vision Festival in Costa Rica. Yes. We had the pleasure of MCing there, which was awesome.
Yes. And in terms of work, are you also creating your own stuff, like in terms of where people can find, like, is there blog posts, are there videos, are there books, are there audio books, like are there pieces that people can find out about your philosophy, like wherever they are now, and they can start practicing some of the core principles and whatnot that you guys share?
Yeah, for sure. It's for now, mysticmisfit.com, and Mystic Misfit on Facebook is like our main channel as the brand. And then myself, I do personal coaching, and, you know, I'm producing some music, just starting to get into that hip hop and freestyle flow state. So my personal website is divinemasculine.live. And so that's where you can find out more about me, working with me in a client coach capacity. And then also just facebook.com/Kevin Oroszlan is my, like, where my main work is. I do a lot of live videos, mindset, you know, embodiment, tantra, yoga, and as well as, you know, the Flow Lab, which is good old fashioned freestyle on the spot, live on Facebook. So
yeah,
that's where the bulk of my stuff is.
So the Facebook, your Facebook is where your main spot.
For now, I am building my YouTube channel, and you know, I'm on Instagram as well, but Facebook is definitely my heavy hitter right now.
Yeah, nice. It's so cool, this technology, man. It's crazy how you can go live, how we can just talk right now. Like in the future, this will be live. Like this will be live streamed. It will be
totally.
At the moment, it's pre-recorded, but like I don't edit, as you can see. There's no editing involved, and you know, it's just like it is. But in the future, this will be live, like straight up Joe Rogan experience style, you know.
Yeah, I look forward to it, man. It's gonna be epic.
And yeah, definitely look forward to linking up. I'll let you know when I'm in the US, and let me know when you're traveling to this side of the world, because definitely we feel like this. It just feels like it's gonna happen regardless.
Nah, bro. If I'm being radically honest, I just want to get in the studio with you. Let's get on the mic. It's done. It's done, dude. You're gonna be in California at some point. By then, I'll probably have a studio of my own. If not the producer I'm talking to right now, and then also, like, I see myself in Bali sometime late this year or next year. So the next logical step is Australia.
Yes, indeed. And I got plenty of fam all over those two places, all over the world, really. But definitely look forward to getting in the studio with you. And is there a last piece that you'd like to share before we wrap up now? Is there anything that wants to flow through you right now? A question, a poem, anything?
I mean, I guess what's coming up is just the Earth's in a transition. And I know, because I'm in a transition, and I'm a cell in this body that we're in. And so to anyone watching this, you know, at any point, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be anxious. Take courage in the fact that you have 10,000 ancestors walking with you. And you're the product of millions, if not billions of years of cosmic evolution. You are a powerful entity. And this is like, I feel like this is it. It's like, get clear on what you want, charge up with what you love, and go out into the collective and spread it with no fear. And spirit, synchronicity, the magical reality will support you in your felicity, so you can eliminate banality, deal fatality to all that does not serve. As we realize that poetry is the curve, I will not swerve. I only serve the highest. And that's what we deserve. Done.
Yes, yes. And he inspires. Yes. Let's flow, fam. Thank you so much, brother.
Bro, thank you so much, man. It's been an honor to be a part of your creative canvas. And I look forward to actually doing a Facebook Live with you at some point.
Yeah, let's do the damn thing. Let's do the damn thing. Insta Live. And the world is a small place. It's like, you know,
we'll be crossing paths.
Yeah.
Like, if not this year, the next year. I can feel it.
Definitely within the next little while. So again, thank you so much. And this is just touching the iceberg. Like, we've just opened up a whole bunch of threads. There's plenty more of this conversation to be had. So be on the lookout for volume 2. I know that your brother Jordan is next in line. And I also know that the three of you, the Mystic Misfits, are due for a bit of living life in the flow zone also.
Indeed, dude. Let's do it, man. Get on the Mystic page. Let's fucking flow, fam.
Let's flow, fam. Thank you so much. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you all for tuning in, and make sure to keep living life in the flow. So until then, people, keep the flow growing and the growth flowing.